My name is Philip Cave. I will be presenting on Chapter 6 of Tess of the D'Urbervilles. In the beginning of this chapter, Tess is going on her way back to Merlot after seeing Alec and her quest to find a job with the D'Urbervilles. And while she's in this carriage that she's riding back to her home with, her figure is gawked at by several male passengers because she is adorned with flowers on her hair, on her hat, and on her dress, and they gawk at her for her beauty. This is kind of the most awkward situation in the chapter, as you know, her beauty is commented on by the male passengers, yet she does not consider herself of nobility, like the D'Urbervilles are considered. All right. This is the conversation that Tess has after she gets home, and her mother and father are waiting for an answer considering a job at the D'Urberville estate. They comment on, especially Mrs. Durbeyfield, she comments on how Alec came over and called her cousin. And she was so elated by that fact, and she told her husband that because it represented some form of familiarity that Alec had towards her, and kind of attraction to. Yet Tess is obviously not happy with this because she does not like Alec the same as Alec likes her. This scene describes Alec with a letter from Mr. Urberville concerning a job for Tess, and this is Tess's mother. She's commenting on how fine he was dressed on a very nice stallion on a horse, and she comments also on his diamond ring that he flashed to the family. This one comments on how Mrs. Durbeyfield wants Tess and Alec to be married, and as the quote goes, he'll marry her most likely and make a lady of her, and then she'll be what our forefathers were. This quote from Miss Durbeyfield represents what her hopes are of Tess's future, and not specifically Tess's own thoughts and her own convictions. This picture describes a journey that Tess will hopefully make with the consent of her parents from Merlot to the D'Urberville estate, and the footsteps represents Tess's physical journey. Physical journeys are very important in the book, as the natural world is described as very beautiful, and Tess's world is described as very bleak, especially during this chapter. As this quote says, "Well, she'll make a conquest of the younger branch of us," meaning Alec, "and she's a fool if she don't follow up," meaning if she doesn't follow up on the journey. Right. This scene describes Tess and her mother's disagreements on the physical characteristics of Alec. Tess says that, and considering the journey so far, Tess says that that she does not want to see Alec, and that she would much rather stay with her mother and father, while her mother says that he is a mighty handsome man, and Tess disagrees, saying, "I don't think so." Baby Abraham, the youngest brother, talks about how he was amazed personally by Alec's diamond ring that he flashed on the horse in the Durbeyfield estate. This scene describes Tess's younger siblings teasing her about Tess's reluctance to go. They sing a song about how she won't be made a lady of, and how the Durbeyfield family will never have the nice things such as sacks of gold and a new horse. And those are physical riches that they will receive if marrying into the D'Urberville family. Right. This is the scene that describes Tess's final acceptance that she will go to the D'Urberville estate to get a job with Mrs. d'Urberville, and as this scene describes, as this commotion is described between Tess's mother and father. They think her mother and father think that they've hit the jackpot, as the d'Urberville clan is thought to be of magnificent wealth, and that if that if Tess is married and Tess finds a job, they'll have a new horse to replace Prince, who was unfortunately killed, and they'll have other means of transportation, such as a carriage, representing the new lines of royalty. This scene describes this scene foreshadows Mrs. d'Urberville's her waiting to see Tess. As the letter describes, she is quite happy that Tess took up the offer, and that she is waiting for her at the estate, and she's sitting by the fire, and and waiting in that scene, right? This describes the end of the chapter as Tess realizes that her dreams might be crushed by a marriage or even a job at the d'Urberville estate. The quote said, as her inner thoughts say, she wanted to be a teacher, but fate seemed to decide otherwise. Meanwhile, Mrs. Durbeyfield, her inner thoughts are explained by Tess as one of final acceptance and joy, as Mrs. Durbeyfield is described as as having been discovering a good match for her daughter Tess since birth. So it describes her final joy of finally having a husband for Tess, who will provide for her, not only her, but also the Durbeyfield family. And that is the end of the chapter.